Hey, everybody. Good afternoon or good morning, based on what your time zone is. This is Jasmine Salika, the founder of Afixify and the host of Industry Chats. Welcome to another week. We are so excited to be back this week. We are a day early, so we always air on Wednesdays. But thanks to our awesome guests for working around my personal schedule as the host. So I'm excited. And today I am welcoming Derek, the founder, and Blake, the co-founder of Lodgeic. Welcome, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, super excited. So I posted this and I mean it so genuinely. I was really thrilled when I saw you guys' name coming up, both of your names. And then Stephanie and I were like, she's like, oh, they're going to be really great guests because they have so much to share, So we've been really excited for this one. I know you guys are making quite a bit of buzz. So I'm really thrilled to jump into some of these topics. But before we even jump in, tell us about Lodgeic. Blake, do you want to jump in and just give us kind of your overview? Because the name can, I'm curious I want to know how you got your name, if you can share that. And then I think people are like, oh, BI, I wouldn't have guessed that from this. So tell us all about Lodgeic, tell us about the name, give us your overview, and then we'll jump in.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you having us on. And so Lodgeic, we are an AI operational platform, get to use the buzzword AI, but, I think for us, it is really, truly fitting. And so what we're doing, I think it's no secret that hoteliers are working with a lot of disparate systems that are not necessarily connected to each other or talking with each other. So what Lodgeic does is we bring together all your different systems, like your property management, revenue management, accounting, payroll, point of sales, all into one centralized location. So teams can see how their portfolio is performing across revenue, labor, and expenses, and then as well down to the property level. And then, we have the, as you mentioned, kind of the BI side, the reporting side is really where Lodgeic started. And as we started working with more clients, we realized that budgeting forecasting was going to be another key piece for our platform. And what's really, I think exciting about, what we've done on the budgeting forecasting side, what I know we're going to talk about a little bit more today, is since we have all this real-time data flowing into our system, is really helping teams automate their forecasting workflow using AI. And so, really the idea with our forecasting and budgeting is, set up your drivers as that real-time data is flowing in, those numbers get updated. So really we're trying to get to a point where our forecasting is really a set it and forget it in a sense. And then, of course, using AI across the forecast that we built, the budgeting that we built, and helping teams get a lot more accurate and build their forecast a lot faster. So, a little bit, started as the BI side, but, I think now we can officially say we're on the AI operations side as well.
And that right there is why I do not do the elevator pitch for any guest, because I learned so much. And here, I'm genuinely nodding. And actually, so you guys are about to come up on the Super Bowl of our year, because budget season is upon us, right? And so what
Absolutely.
Great timing. I'm sitting here thinking of all the people I know personally that need to be watching this episode. No, but that's really phenomenal. And I know we're going to talk in a little bit about kind of, Derek, your aha moment and how you guys got here. But I love of course, you're hearing a lot about AI right now. We all are. That's kind of the elephant in the room. But what you guys are doing is really making sense of it and then, creating it in a way that is efficient and effective for the hotelier. And at the end of the day, when we get asked about AI, our answer is don't buy a system because they say they have AI. Buy it for, what it's going to produce for you and provide for you and solve a problem for. And if it's doing that, that's awesome. That AI is a part of it.
Yeah.
So we want to talk today, and anyone that watches the show knows our guests kind of build the topic here, and you're educating me as well. And so let's jump in a little bit on just how hoteliers can be using AI in their operation. So Blake, you mentioned, and this is such an interesting point, all this data lives in all these places. And I think, I joke a little bit about, and it was 2012 to 2015, big data was the big thing, and walking around high tech, that's what you'd hear about. And now it's okay, so much data. Now, how are we actually creating useful insights? And so Blake, you want to talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing, how you're seeing hoteliers use this effectively?
Yeah. And I mean, I think nowadays it's no secret. Most leadership teams we talk to is trying to figure out, how can we use AI? And a lot of tools out there, you have your AI capabilities within your accounting platform. You have some AI capabilities within, certain PMSs, your revenue management side. But, I think really for hoteliers to use AI really meaningfully is you need to bring all that data together. And I think that's really where we come in to help, because now you can use AI to see, one, how revenue is performing against labor. You can use AI to alert you when, something is happening, and catch it before it hits your bottom line, or maybe when a specific department within your hotel or a specific employee is about to hit overtime, and maybe you can make those adjustments before payroll hits. And so, I think the more groups we talk with, the more leadership teams we talk with, obviously everybody's trying to figure out, how can we use AI? And one, right now, I think a lot of people have the capabilities with Claude and OpenAI to, start using. They can upload the reports, but again, that's still a lot of manual workflows to go into your accounting system, pull your financial reports, to go into your payroll systems, then upload them into Claude, OpenAI. And then you have to have the logic on the back end, right? Claude and OpenAI, they're going to do a pretty good job, but really what we've built from our AI perspective, or our AI capabilities, is actually having that logic of specifically, how your revenue, how your labor, they all connect within, for hoteliers specifically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Derek? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a really wide spectrum of AI adoption across any market right now, and I think on one side you have the skeptics, the Luddites, the laggards, and then you kind of have the AI eager in the middle, where they want to use it, but then they look at an empty chat box where you can put anything into it. They don't necessarily know what to do there. And then I think I would place us, on the complete opposite side of that spectrum, where we started becoming a company at a really great time, where at first AI was helping us achieve our goals, from a software development perspective, really rapidly. But then the models continued to improve at a point where we started to see, well, we should probably think about how we productize some of these things and help with the workflows at the customer level. And so, I think when we get on calls with operators that maybe do fall into more of the skeptic category, they can start to see how AI actually would work in their existing workflows with their existing systems. But it's rooted in a really strong foundation. And like I said, we didn't necessarily start as an AI platform, but we started at the right time to become an AI platform, I think. But what that allowed us to do was really build that strong foundation of all the data that's coming in gets normalized. So it doesn't matter if I have 12 different PMS systems across my properties, a handful of POS systems and RMS systems, and different payroll and different accounting systems. We can blend all of that together so that it's one normal data stream that then can be used to benchmark across their properties as well. And I think, kind of where recently we've seen the aha moments with customers and as we're pitching to prospects, in our forecasting is one area where we get lots of oohs and ahs, where people start to see, oh, AI is doing things that typically take me a ton of time right now, or take my team a ton of time. But as we've recently rolled out a financial narrative suite that can actually create executive summaries and critique to the GL level, that's where we're getting the engagement with customers, where typically the response to us showing them what the AI can do is, you're telling me you didn't write any of this? And so getting to a level where you can't necessarily tell a difference between human output and AI output. Although obviously everyone knows about the M-dash, and we can try and reduce the amount of those that we use. But ultimately, it's rooted in that really strong data quality that allows us to make it pull insights that are at a level that, your best GM would be pulling together and have that human touch.
There was an experience, and I actually want to dive more into forecasting next, by the way. So let's keep on that, but this made me think about, one of the first people that found you guys through Fixify. He wrote me and was so excited because his first search, you guys weren't live. And then a week later you were live. So he went back and researched, and he was like, oh my goodness, this company showed up above, anyone else I was considering. And like, he was a little like, how, because he hadn't heard of you guys yet. And I think that's what's so cool and exciting about what you guys are bringing to the table, is that this is solving a very real need in our industry. So again, it's not just AI to be AI. You're actually putting a very practical, use case out there that's solving problems that people have been needing. And Derek, you mentioned something in our pre-show notes that really caught my attention as far as like forecasting. And that is like even flagging things like missing expenses and really becoming, I want to be careful how I say this, because I am of the belief that we'll always still need humans in hospitality, but things that human error will miss and now you guys are able to make this much more accurate. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, do you guys have any use cases you're seeing of a really big impact when putting this into play in a property or in a business? And they're like, oh, we would have missed that, and that could have been really bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one thing to mention is we keep the human in the flow anytime that AI is being engaged in our platform.
Mm-hmm.
So they always have a chance to approve or course correct where it's needed. But then additionally, I mean, speaking to kind of how we catch some of those things and make it work, we've really evaluated how we utilize AI essentially from an accounting lens. And so what that means is, it as it's building a forecast, it thinks like an accountant. And so it's essentially trying to create your profit and loss statement from an accounting lens, utilizing the latest data that's coming in through payroll, through your revenue sources, through your GL and AP systems. And so that's where we can look at historicals, and we can find things that are oftentimes accrued at the very end of a month, and create really good estimates for how those accrual amounts should be forecasted, that aren't going to necessarily be something that at the property level they're really thinking about, but accounting is going to be thinking about those things, and it's going to end up on their P&L, and it's going to have an impact to their bottom line. And so we really want to, I think, achieve two things ultimately with how we use and explore AI is give time back to the operator and improve the quality of work. And so, I think we're executing really well on those two things, where forecasts can be refined and improved in our system at a very granular level of data. And that ultimately, takes a lot of time off of a GM's plate. I don't necessarily, as a GM, have the time to go look at what's coming through my AP feed every single day and how that's going to impact my forecast. But our AI can do that.
I think too, like the way in Jasmine with you, I think you're always going to need the human touch.
We do.
I don't know when I walk in. I don't know, from any moment of hospitality, whether it's the back end or the guest facing. I don't know if I would walk in a hotel and a robot hands me my room key, but I think with the forecasting side, that what we've done, and you look at a management group that has a portfolio of, let's say, 30 hotels. They have 30 different GMs. 10 of those GMs are rock stars at forecasting. They're really good, super accurate, and the rest, maybe they're 60%, 50%, kind of falling in the middle. And really what AI is able to do is kind of scale out your rock star GMs, where even somebody that might be a first year, second year GM at your property, you can give them the tools to give them that veteran experience where they can really nail down their forecast, and you're going to save them a lot of time. And so there's a lot of use cases, not only getting, GMs, operations teams up to speed faster to retain that quality of work, but also scaling out, your rock star employees. Obviously you want all 30 to be great. And I think, having the right tools, they can be.
I love what you're saying too, because I think the more we can leverage tech to help our amazing people be better, the better. And I understand, I mean, this is not even the topic today, right? Like there's a whole host of opinions on what will AI do to jobs and things like that. But I think for you guys, it makes so much sense. And I also think this is a good lead in and talking like reporting, because the amount of time before AI spent pulling together reports and financials and things. I mean, obviously you guys can really improve that. I definitely want to talk a little bit about that, because, and one thing that comes to mind too is for anyone watching, like asset managers, right? I mean, are you guys talking to them quite a bit? Because I feel like they could really utilize the forecasting and the reporting side on behalf of their owners. Are you seeing just a huge interest there in asset managers and AI and reporting and all of that?
And so what's funny is I think most of our inbound requests now are actually coming more from asset managers.
Oh, yeah,
we really set out to serve the management teams and the boots on the ground operations, but we're having conversations and exploring that segment of the market as well, because I think obviously there's a ton of correlation to what our product is doing that could help asset managers as well.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. So let's talk a little bit, kind of as I can't even believe it. The show always goes way too fast, but I do want to talk a little bit about like the financial reporting and all of that. What are you guys seeing? And of course with Lodgeic, but AI in general, of almost like a before and after, right? Like what was it like before trying to pull all of this data together, especially going into this time of year for hoteliers? And then how are we seeing such an impact now and for the positive? Derek?
Yeah. I think, it's something I've lived firsthand really for my entire career, starting as a financial analyst, oftentimes was in healthcare settings, but building budgets for anywhere from 50 to 100 properties each year.
Yeah.
And the amount of time that it took, typically we would start budget season in September, and then the next year we'd go, we should probably start that more in August. To now where I think it's going to start going the opposite way with products like ours, and just however you can adopt AI. But ultimately that's, to say the whole flow of, as a financial analyst, you're going from, okay, where, as we're preparing our budget, where did we run into issues over the last 12 months? And I'm typically starting that process in an Excel spreadsheet. But I find a line where I, miss the budget and I need to get to the GL data. Now I've got to go into the accounting system and I find a plethora of invoices that have hit that line item. Now I got to go to our AP system and pull those invoices. And so that's one area where we've really tried to streamline that whole process to give you all of those data points in one place. So I see an issue with a certain line item that we missed budget, or maybe we over budgeted and we want to tighten that up. Mm-hmm. I can go explore the GL in our system. I can, see all of the invoices that hit the record for that period as well. And so really streamlining that side of it, that really has nothing to do with AI, but just improving that overall workflow. Yeah. And so I've always really had that, that concrete evidence of how that process works and how you can streamline it as we started to build this product. But then, how AI gets layered in is, once you have drivers assigned, or you can use our AI to assign those drivers, we can tell you if it's the most accurate driver for a budget or a forecast based on what your historical activity has done. And so really taking that whole workflow that I just described to a whole new level, where, the human's still in the driver's seat. You get to approve or decline any of the suggestions that our AI is making for changes to your budgets or forecasts. But you get a really good quality explanation of, why our AI has picked up that possibly this driver is incorrect.
Do you, this comes to mind, and it's just kind of a fun question, like how cool is it to see people's reactions to what you guys can do on demos and in meetings? I mean, are you just really enjoying seeing what a game changer this is for our industry? And I'm sure, more to come.
I'll just say when we get to the forecasting side and we start showing our AI capabilities within creating a forecast and then also improving the accuracy, I think that's when we get this.
Yeah, like
people really. That's when all suddenly maybe they weren't necessarily looking, and then that's when things I think really start to click.
Yeah.
Because the reporting side's great, and our AI assistant just across the operational data, is still awesome what we can do there. But I think from a forecasting budgeting side, that's really where we're kind of not to say cutting edge, but in a sense, I think
Yeah.
people, that's where they get excited.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could say cutting edge. Yeah. Go ahead, Derek. Did you want to? You can
I'll
say
use
it.
all the buzzwords today.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely where we get our dopamine hit. What keeps us in the arena. And it is cool to see when you can show something to an operator that has decades more experience than we have, and we're showing them something that can be done with today's latest tech that they never imagined. And so that's a huge part of what keeps us going day to day and continuing to improve. And then that's where we get a lot of ideas as well, whether from customers or prospects of, hey, this is something that's really cool, but it would be even better if we could do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And so it's always great to see the quick feedback, but it typically then we get even more exposure into where we can influence our roadmap and improve our product as well.
Yeah. Well, and you guys are I think, right, you still have a pretty small team, so you can probably be pretty flexible whenever you discover there's a new need, and probably not having, you guys are the decision makers, right? So I'm sure that's really nice. As you guys discover new needs, you can hopefully pretty quickly add and scale.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would say that's a big advantage for us, is just being how nimble we can be, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I do have
our clients see that too.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
but I was just gonna say our clients see that too whenever they, we've had a lot of examples recently too, especially from the forecasting side, where maybe they want a different driver in there, and then a week later we're able to, not even, maybe even a couple days later, we're able to update them and say, hey, we got it in there. So it's really cool to kind of get that feedback of like, wow, you guys did that so fast. So yeah, I think with all the new tech out there, it's pretty cool how nimble and how quick you can get things going.
Especially for those of us that have been in the hospitality tech space for a long time, and you've seen how slow things can go, it's just really incredible. I always ask the same question, and actually, Derek, you touched a little bit on an aha moment, so if you want to reiterate, that's fine, or something else. But I end the show every week with, okay, what has been your aha moment in this process? Whether it's why Lodgeic came to be, or, as you kind of mentioned, Derek, as you're talking to people and you've had those along the way. But I'd love to hear, Derek, kind of as the founder, what was your aha moment with Lodgeic throughout all of this? And, because I think those things keep us going sometimes. So tell me a little bit about that. What comes to mind?
Yeah. So, I think there's really been no shortage of aha moments. Just to keep it somewhat concise, I'll go back to the original, and part of what we, sought after as we were starting a company was, where is there a market that has disparate systems that are, no shortage of data, but need, some form of actionable insights served to them from their existing data. And, hospitality was one that we discovered, and we started talking to operators and learning about the market as much as we could. And ultimately found that, I think when we sought after disparate systems as kind of our initial checkbox, we couldn't have imagined a better industry for that. And so, I say there's been no shortage of aha moments because we're kind of constantly having to reinvent, everything that our product can do in a coherent way that users can still adopt. And so, I think just what we're seeing is the need for this tech is a huge problem in the industry. Is still just how do we get all of the data into one place?
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily at the finish line for being able to do that. There's constantly other systems, CapEx, spend tracking, and maintenance requests and housekeeping data that we can tap into over time. And so, ultimately, we set out to build a best-in-class product for this market. Yeah. And we couldn't have asked for an industry with a better opportunity to do so. And so that's something that, as I always say, we were somewhat outsiders to the industry. We didn't have, a ton of previous hospitality experience. And so ultimately, we have to prove to the market every day that we deserve to be here. And our customers have to, and the market as a whole has to validate that we deserve to be here as well. And so that's something that we don't take lightly. And so we know that we've got to constantly innovate and stay on the cutting edge to be able to do that.
Yeah. That might be my favorite aha moment we've had in a long time on this show. Thank you. That was really thorough. And just, I can see the heart behind what you guys are doing, and that you take it seriously, right? As like, you even think about people, you know, hey, we deserve to be here. I think it's really incredible what you guys are doing. And like I said, I mean, it's not just me. It's like our users have, that one particular I loved when he was so excited to find you guys, you know, and I think you guys are obviously just beginning. And this has been so insightful. So we really appreciate both of you joining this week. And just so that those listening now live or later on YouTube know, you can reach out to Lodgeic through Fixify. So they are listed. They're in our BI category, but now we know they do much more. So please do find them there. It's a great place to connect with the guys at Lodgeic, the team at Lodgeic. And then, of course, you know, you guys are on LinkedIn, or where's another way that people can follow your journey?
Yeah, probably. I would say LinkedIn. We have a Lodgeic page that they can follow that we usually release updates to, especially when it's a big product rollout. And then obviously our personal LinkedIns as well. So always happy to connect with anyone.
LinkedIn, it's the place now for business. Let me tell you.
Absolutely.
It is. I love it. Well, guys, thank you for joining. And for those that are faithful listeners, we're so grateful for you. We will be off next week and then back on July 29th with our friends at ComOps for Medallia, talking about guest and staff sentiment. Very important topic, especially in our industry right now. So thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Great to see you, Jasmine.
Bye.